He was the very last name called. Not second to last, not fifth to last, dead last. Pick 262, Mr. Irrelevant. And yet not even 2 years later, Brock Purdy was leading one of the NFL's most iconic franchises to the Super Bowl, outplaying legends, breaking records, and turning doubters into believers. No silver spoon, no hype, just grit, work, and one wild opportunity. So how does someone go from a total afterthought to one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in football? Well, that story is even crazier than you think. Brock Purdy was never the kind of quarterback scouts gushed over. No flashy highlight reels, no 5-star rating, just a skinny kid from the suburbs of Arizona, overlooked, underestimated, and ignored. While most future stars get recruited from powerhouse programs, Brock was putting in work in his backyard, literally. Drills, throws, footwork, every single day. No coaches pushing him, no cameras watching, just him grinding in silence. He came from a family of athletes. His dad, a former pro baseball player, his siblings, standouts in their own sports. But Brock, he didn't have the size, the speed, or the so-called it factor. What he did have was an obsession, a relentless need to get better. While other kids were out hanging with friends or glued to video games, Brock was breaking down tape, practicing footwork, running drills in the Arizona heat. He wasn't chasing attention. He was preparing for a shot no one thought he'd ever get, and deep down he knew if he was going to stand out in a world full of 6'4" rocket-armed quarterbacks, he had to work harder than everyone. But talent and drive only take you so far, until one game changed everything. Brock finally got his shot at Perry High School, earning the starting quarterback job as just a sophomore. And from the moment he stepped on that field, something clicked. He wasn't the biggest guy out there, but he saw the game differently. While others relied on raw athleticism, Brock broke defenses apart with precision. Every throw had intention. Every read was calculated. He wasn't flashy. He was surgical. By junior year, he had taken Perry High to their first ever state championship game. Then came his senior season. And that's when he exploded. Over 4,400 passing yards, 57 touchdowns. One of the best seasons in Arizona high school football history. He wasn't just good, he was breaking records that had stood for decades. Suddenly, college scouts started circling: Alabama, Texas A&M, a dozen others. But Brock didn't chase the big names. He chose Iowa State, a program with no flashy NFL pipeline, no national spotlight, and zero quarterback legacy. Why? Because they believed in him when no one else really did. But that choice, it didn't bury him, it ignited him. When Brock Purdy showed up at Iowa State in 2018, no one was expecting much. He wasn't a top recruit. He wasn't even second on the depth chart. He was third string on a team that most people outside of Iowa had never cared to watch. It looked like the perfect place for a promising career to quietly fade away. But fate had other plans. Early in the season, Iowa State's starting quarterback went down. The backup struggled. And just like that, and barely a few games into his college career, Brock was thrown into the fire against Oklahoma State on the road in front of a hostile crowd. And what did he do? He torched them. 4 passing touchdowns, over 300 yards, 1 rushing score, and a massive upset win that nobody saw coming. This wasn't a lucky break, it was a breakout. A few weeks later, he did it again, this time against number 6 West Virginia. Another dominant performance, another upset. And just like that, Brock wasn't a bench warmer. He was the guy. He finished that freshman season with a 7-2 record as a starter, led the team to a bowl game, and changed the narrative around Iowa State football almost overnight. But the craziest part, he was just getting started. By the time Brock Purdy finished his college career, he wasn't just a good quarterback. He was the best Iowa State had ever seen. Over 12,000 passing yards, 81 touchdowns, a record-breaking run that turned a forgotten program into a serious Big 12 contender. But when the 2022 NFL Draft came around, none of that seemed to matter. Scouts nitpicked everything. Arm strength's not elite. Mobility's limited. He's too small. It didn't matter that he had proven himself for 4 straight years. The league only saw what he wasn't. Round after round passed. Quarterbacks with half his production were drafted ahead of him. Teams took chances on unknowns, long shots, and raw prospects. And still, no one called Brock's name until pick number 262, the final pick of the draft. Mr. Irrelevant. When the 49ers finally selected him, it wasn't a celebration, it was a gut punch disguised as an opportunity. But Brock didn't sulk. He didn't complain. He said 8 words that would define his entire career. I've always bet on myself. I'm not stopping now. And that chip on his shoulder, it was about to become a weapon. When Brock Purdy walked into the 49ers facility, he was just trying to make the team. He was QB3 behind Jimmy Garoppolo, a seasoned vet, and Trey Lance, the highly touted 3rd overall pick. The odds of even stepping onto the field were slim. He knew it. Everyone knew it. But the NFL doesn't care about plans. Early in the season, Trey Lance went down with a brutal ankle injury. Suddenly, Garoppolo was back in as the starter until he broke his foot in Week 13 against Miami. Now the 49ers, one of the best teams in the league, were turning to their last resort, Mr. Irrelevant. Most fans expected the team to collapse, hold the line, maybe limp into the playoffs at best. But Brock? He wasn't there to survive. He was there to take over. He came in mid-game and didn't flinch. 2 touchdowns, smooth reads, complete control. San Francisco beat the Dolphins, and the locker room buzzed. But the real test came the next week, his first official NFL start against Tom Brady. And Brock outplayed him. The 49ers destroyed the Bucs 35-7. The rookie looked fearless, commanding the offense like he'd been doing it for years. It wasn't a fluke. He followed that up with 6 straight wins, an NFC West title, and a playoff berth. He wasn't just filling in, he was elevating the entire offense. And the world was finally starting to ask, who is this guy? The regular season was impressive, no doubt, but the playoffs? That's where legends are made or exposed. Brock Purdy stepped into the wild card round against the Seattle Seahawks, and from the first snap, he looked like he belonged. He threw for 332 yards, 4 total touchdowns, and led the 49ers to a dominant 41-23 win. For most rookies, just surviving a playoff game would be enough. But Brock wasn't there to survive, he wanted more. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys, a defense built to rattle quarterbacks. But once again, Purdy stayed poised. He didn't force throws, he didn't panic, he just kept the offense moving, hit his spots, and let his playmakers eat. Another win, another step closer. Then came the NFC Championship, the biggest game of his life, and it fell apart in 6 plays. On his first drive against the Philadelphia Eagles, Brock took a brutal hit. His throwing elbow was gone, a torn UCL. He physically couldn't pass. The 49ers were forced to put in a 4th stringer. That didn't last either. San Francisco even tried running Christian McCaffrey at quarterback, but it was over. A season that felt unstoppable just died on the field. Brock could only watch helpless as the Super Bowl slipped away. But what came next would silence every last critic. The offseason was full of questions. Was Brock Purdy just a product of a loaded roster? Was he a system quarterback riding Kyle Shanahan's genius? Or was his playoff run just lightning in a bottle? Even after that incredible stretch, people still doubted. His elbow injury was serious. His draft status still hung over him like a shadow. And with both Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance back, the 49ers had a decision to make. They didn't hesitate. Garoppolo was gone in free agency. Lance traded to the Cowboys. All chips were in on Brock, the 7th-round pick, Mr. Irrelevant, the one everyone had overlooked. And in Week 1 of the 2023 season, he made it clear. The 49ers made the right choice. On the road in Pittsburgh, against a tough Steelers defense, Brock completed 19 of 29 passes, threw 2 touchdowns, and walked out with a 37 win. That performance made him the first quarterback in NFL history to win his first 6 regular season starts, with at least 2 touchdown passes in each, and that was just the beginning. Week after week, Brock torched defenses. His timing, accuracy, and decision-making turned the 49ers offense into a machine. He led the entire league in passer rating, QBR, and yards per attempt, all while making less than $1 million a year on his rookie deal. San Francisco finished 12-5, claimed the NFC's top seed, and Brock earned a Pro Bowl nod. He wasn't a placeholder. He wasn't a fluke. He was now one of the best quarterbacks in football. Brock Purdy had silenced the critics, but the NFL doesn't hand out happy endings. If anything, success just raises the stakes. Heading into 2024, expectations were sky high. The 49ers had come inches from winning it all the year before, and now their young quarterback had experience, chemistry, and momentum. On paper, they were Super Bowl favorites, but reality hit hard. By mid-season, San Francisco's roster looked like a MASH unit. Christian McCaffrey was sidelined with Achilles tendonitis in both legs. Brandon Ayuk tore his ACL and MCL in Week 7, gone for the year. Star after star dropped, and suddenly, Brock was left without his top weapons. But instead of folding, he tightened up. In Week 5 against Arizona, he threw his 50th career touchdown pass, the fastest quarterback in 49ers history to reach that milestone. With backups all around him, he kept finding ways to win. Precise throws, smart reads, total control of Kyle Shanahan's offense, like he was an extension of the coach himself. He wasn't just managing the game, he was the game plan, all while earning less than $1 million a year. And with his rookie contract running out, one thing's for sure, the league's most underpaid QB is about to become one of its most expensive. Brock Purdy's story isn't just about football, it's about grit, resilience, and refusing to let the world define your limits. From the very last pick to the man leading a championship caliber team, he's flipped the script on what it means to be Mr. Irrelevant. No flashy pedigree, no superstar hype, just relentless work and an unshakable belief in himself. Now, as the NFL watches closely, Brock isn't just fighting for wins, he's fighting for legacy. Can the kid from Arizona continue to rewrite history? Can he prove that heart and hustle beat draft status every time? One thing's certain, this underdog's journey is far from over. So what do you think? Is Brock Purdy the next great NFL superstar, or just a remarkable moment in time? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to follow every twist of this incredible story. Because if Brock's taught us anything, you never count out the last pick.